Esidimeni tragedy and other similar tragedies could have been prevented if proper quality management systems were in place. The 9th of November is World Quality Day around the world, and the day was designed to increase worldwide awareness of the important contribution that quality makes towards both organizational and national growth and prosperity. And we joined now in studio by Xolani Mpahlwa, who is the Southern African Society for Quality Executive Director. A very good morning to you, Xolani. Thank you so much for joining us and welcome.
Thank you. Morning. Thank you very much.
As I've just mentioned, the Life Esidimeni tragedy, how could it have been prevented?
First and foremost, I think what was important was to ensure that quality is observed in the project from the onset, and this would have been following the 4 pillars of quality, which talks to quality planning, quality assurance, and quality control, and lastly, quality improvement. Okay. So I think the failure at quality planning is a big problem in the sense that whatever you inject into the process is not able to give us the intended output at the end of the day. So from the onset, this is where the project failed. And also within every project, there is what is called project quality planning. You will hear other people talking about quality management plan. Others will talk about quality control plan. These are the measures you take during a project at every different phase and every different stage to ensure that if there are any deviations, they are quickly addressed from you being the service provider and also the recipient, who is the customer. So in this case, Department of Health would have been able to track during the project itself what are the deviations and what are the actions that need to be taken in order to restore and regain confidence.
Okay. Now, from a quality management perspective, what do you think the steps are? What steps could have been taken to prevent it?
I think it's very critical to understand if you are to achieve any quality objective, the first and foremost issue would have been to understand that quality presents you with hierarchy of documents. So in this case, you have 4 layers of quality documents that talks to policy at a high level of an organization, and then you have your procedures, and then you have also your work instructions, and then you have your forms and templates and check sheets and instructions. So in this case also, I think the project itself would have been avoided the level of tragedy that it reached. It could have been reduced or prevented if we had managed to observe this hierarchy of documents and observe quality in terms of the stages, in applying the stages at every different phase. So I think these are the things that show a bit of negligence, a bit of deviation, because when an organization sets a policy, they show a level of commitment from top management or from leadership to ensure things are done in a certain way, and that culture is inculcated into everyone in the organization, and that is applied throughout the organization.
When used effectively, quality standards are a contributing factor, or they play a very important role in global trade, contributing to technology absorption, for instance. How so?
Yes, that is quite correct. So in terms of quality in every country, we have what we call the national quality infrastructure, which in South Africa we would normally call it SQAM, SQAM, which talks to standardization, talks to quality, talks to accreditation, and it also talks to methodology. So everything that we do as a society, from what we eat, the bread is weighed, accreditation in terms of the labs that test the water that we drink or the Coca-Cola that we sip, that talks to accreditation. Standardization itself is developed by a mandated body, South African Bureau of Standards, which is one of the founders of ISO, International Standardization Organization. So they contribute on behalf of the country to ensure the well-being of citizens in this country.
All right. Now, at government level, just how important is quality infrastructure?
It's very important, as you were mentioning, the issue of World Trade. See, the World Trade Organization, we subscribe to it as a country, and these barriers obviously are circumvented when we have the standards. The standards create an opportunity for us to be able to trade, because we're talking about standardization is about uniformity. So whatever we do is uniform, whether we do it in South Africa, whether we do it in China, whether we do it in USA. So in terms of trading, this allows South Africa to be on par, and also it gives fluidity in terms of how we trade, based on the standardization and the standards and level of quality we produce.
And having said that, standards are also credited with, with fostering the diffusion of technological best practices. Now, in the spirit of World Quality Day, that it rings true, doesn't it?
Yes, yes, it does. I think it fosters that, because I think now we are in a global age where we talk about age of digitalization. We talk about smart cities. So standardization has evolved over time. You will understand it gets reviewed over time. We used to have a standard at some point, that was 1994, then it was reviewed 2000, 2008. Now we are sitting at 9001, 2015 version. So the outlook is that the world evolves, and the standards themselves should catch up with the world, and if not, being proactive to ensure that we are not left behind in terms of the global dynamism that we have.
And how are you involved as an organization in terms of quality management and standards?
Okay, we are involved in standardization through the participation that we have with different organizations. SASTU is part of SABC in terms of ensuring quality qualifications are available, and they meet the requirement of the industry, so that there is an alignment. And we also involve, because the experts and organization sits at SABC through what we call the technical committees. And there is a technical committee that we involve with, Technical Committee 176, that is responsible for the country in terms of quality management and quality assurance. So these are some of the platforms that we volunteer our services and our time and our dedication to the field to ensure that South African citizens are safeguarded and free from harm.
Right. Xolani, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right. That was Xolani Mpahlwa, who is the Southern African Society for Quality Executive Director. All right, let's take a short break now, and AM News will be back with more shortly after this.
Jumbo Africa, welcome to the newsroom.